The business processing outsourcing sector are major employers in the markets like India and the Philippines. In a country like Nigeria, what lessons can be learned and what can we do to gain a bigger share of the global, or a share of the global BPO market?
If you look at the markets where BPO has thrived, like India, or even if you come back home to Africa, like Mauritius, a number of things comes to mind. One is, for want of a better word, I'll call it trust. Unfortunately, Nigeria has been characterized by what people call Yahoo and 419s. And so the average business, especially foreign business, will need to be careful to ensure that...
Would hesitate.
And they are hesitating in terms of putting a BPO center in a location where you don't trust. Second is from an infrastructure point of view, because infrastructure then affects the cost to deliver the service. In the past, we used to talk about telecoms infrastructure and internet, but I think that we've kind of managed in certain cities. But power infrastructure is still a major constraint. The other constraint will be security point of view. You want to have a 24/7 economy, which means your workers should be able to leave their homes at 10 p.m. to go and resume night shift. Then they should be able to go out at 2 a.m. for drinks and to eat. So that talks to security of lives and properties. And I think the fourth one will be from a literacy point of view and a customer orientation. Most BPO services require a lot of people who have customer service orientation. Not those who will shout at customers, not those who will not empathize with the customer. And so that is something that can be trained. And then that we also need to then train our people so that they understand that you're providing a service, you must empathize and you must focus on the customer. So if you do a number of those and brand Nigeria appropriately to attract customers, to attract clients. So the ease of doing business has started well. Now you can have visa on arrival, which is important. Soon, I hope the airports will get a facelift. So if we do those things, then we'll make Nigeria a more inviting place, and companies can then patronize us in terms of BPO.
There are a lot of IT startups in Nigeria, but with the Savannah Valley, Kenya is started to be the next big IT hub in the mold of the Silicon Valley. What can government do to help our startups, and what can they do to help themselves?
Thanks. I think the history of Nigeria, it's that Nigeria has grown despite government. I mean, if you look at Nollywood, if you look at music, those two, and the entertainment industry has grown despite government. And I think what we're beginning to see also in technology is that technology is growing despite government. I mean, what has happened and what is happening in the Yaba area is instructive. It wasn't deliberate, but gradually an ecosystem has been put in place. But the third bit will be around branding. We need to project the Yaba Silicon Valley, as whatever it's called, as a viable and formal structure. Not just a small thing, but be able to document the number of companies there, be able to document the number of people that are working there, be able to document the kind of products and the amount of naira or dollars that is being generated every day, such that that story we can then tell to others. Because it's like a man that is winking the dark to a lady. Nobody knows that that man is winking. So the government can help just by telling the story of what is happening in Yaba and documenting the activities there, documenting the impact from a productivity, employment, and revenue generated point of view. And then that can help to attract others. Now, what can the startups do for themselves? And then the first is really just being serious. And second will be connecting with others. So if you can establish a connection between your company and the former businesses, be it your consumers, be it the big banks, be it the big conglomerates. That will be useful. But more useful also will be connecting your entity with other companies in the diaspora. There's a lot of funding that's available in Europe and in the US. And if there's a way government can help, if there's a way those institutions can help to ensure that there's a connection between those who want to invest and the Nigerian entities, that would be useful.
Government is shifting more of its own procedures online. Will the current technologies they're deploying transform the way government operates? And how can analytics, for example, help to deliver superior service in the public sector?
Yeah. So if you look at the way, there are three broad areas one can talk of how you can deploy technology. There's the consumer facing, there's the business, and there's government. We're seeing steps in terms of government to consumer, especially those that support revenue generation. So tax has been fairly automated. Driver's license, now you can get it automated. Your international passport. So those things that will generate revenue, I think, are the first areas where government has moved into automation. And then next has always been government to business. But the least area has always been government to government. How government companies can interact and share technology and automate their processes. And I think that's where we need government to spend more time in automating processes of ministries, departments, and agencies of government. And if they do that, that will ensure that they can provide quality service to consumers. And that will also ensure, more importantly, that they can provide information, which is where analytics come in. If the head of the agency wants to know the trends, you cannot go to an archive and be looking for reports of last year, of 10 years, or 15 years. If those reports are digitized, then all the head of the agency needs to do is just go onto his laptop or his cell phone and do a trend analysis of the data for the last so many months and so many years. And that's where analytics help.
You're also very invested in your religion, Islam. Sadly, the narrative about Islam is generally negative these days with all the extremism in the world. And young Muslims can struggle with that. How can they own their Muslim identity?
Right. I think the thing is, my sense is the first thing is knowledge. Knowledge is important. And knowledge is not necessarily you sitting down and reading books. Knowledge is not all that you glimpse from the internet. Knowledge is about reading diverse literature. Knowledge is about having mentors. It's about learning from others in different ways. And so if one has a good knowledge and understanding of Islam, you realize that what the religion preaches is not necessarily what people practice. And when I say people, I'm not talking about the average guy. I'm even talking about the scholars and about the leaders. And so that makes it easier for some people to be brainwashed, all because they've not sought knowledge from different sources. They just believed in one source, which is their own alpha or their own scholar. So that is important. I think the second thing after seeking knowledge and knowing verse is also learning a lot from the role model, which is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of my guiding principles. It's where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the best of you is those who is good to his neighbor. And if you take in all of that, really, it tells you that you need to be someone that others will benefit from. You need to be someone that's contented with what God has given you. And if you have the knowledge, you understand the essentials of the deen from the non-essentials. And like people say, what unites us is much more than the things that divide us. The pillars of the religion are 5. A number of people don't fulfill the 5 pillars, and then they fight over the non-essential things. If the foundation is weak, it doesn't matter what you build on top, it's really going to be weak.
Niyi Yusuf, we thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
And we thank you for tuning in. Please join us next time when the program returns. But between now and then, let's continue the conversation online at channelstv.com and tweet me your thoughts at MoreDailySY. Thank you again for watching, and we hope you'll join us again.